I now invite Comrade Mackie Holder to the stage to read the citation for the Grantley Adams Award for 2025.
Good night, conference. Good night. In the back, not hearing you. Good night, conference. Sounding like the BLP. Honorable Mayor Amor Motley, Prime Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, Crime Prevention and Disabilities of St. Lucia, Honorable Jeremiah Norbert, His Honor Senator the Most Honorable Reginald Farley, Chairman of the Barbados Labour Party, Senator Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott, General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, Conference Chair and Second Vice Chair of the BLP, Marsha Cattle, MP, other members of the Executive and National Council, members of Parliament, specially invited guests. This is the last award, so I invite all of you to salute all those who have gone before with a rousing hand of applause. It is a great privilege to pay tribute to the final honoree. Excellence. The one word associated with the prodigious talents of Senator Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott and his immense contributions to the Barbados Labour Party and country is excellence. You could add another one, leadership. Walcott has distinguished himself in medicine, healthcare, management, community service, and of course, politics, achieving at the highest level in each endeavor. He possesses a combination of skills, tremendous intellect, analytical mind, management abilities, attention to detail, wide knowledge, commanding delivery that made him a rare talent indeed. We could speak about him all night. We could speak about his reputation as a brainiac at the large school and how he studied politics, following debates and falling in love with a man called Tom Adams. Now, those familiar with both of them would understand the similarities. Sharp intellect, sharp tongue. We could speak about his legacy at the QEH. After graduating from Mona campus with his medical degree and following up as a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh. And when he was also an associate lecturer in surgery and examiner in final surgery exams at UEK-Phil, and also president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners. More than 2 decades after he left the QEH, colleagues, attending nurses, still speak reverently about his composure under pressure, his compassion, knife skills, and bedside manner. And patients and students still greet him warmly. There's also Jerome the innovator. His creation as project director, project manager, and interim director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, the regional agency devoted to synchronizing policies and programs in public health across the region, brought together countries with very disparate approaches, now 26 of them, a momentous pioneering feat that will serve Caribbean people infinitely. In politics, Walcott has obviously been defining. A former MP for Christchurch South, he has served as leader of government business in the Senate twice, and Minister of Health twice under different administrations. It's the first time anyone has achieved that. He reinvigorated the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, resurrecting a number of proposals and agreements left for dead on his desk, part of the lost decade. Among his achievements, he opened 4 new diplomatic missions, signed a number of agreements on development aid and trade deals, and new ones essential in keeping Barbados stable and sustainable, especially in healthcare. Now, Jerome will have to forgive me for saying that his beloved late mother was somewhat ambivalent about him leaving medicine for politics. But life is funny, and both of these have intersected wonderfully, the COVID-19 pandemic being one such example. The pandemic showed Walcott at his best. His work as head of the Cabinet COVID-19 subcommittee was a major contributing factor in Barbados being widely praised worldwide for its handling of the pandemic, working side by side with Prime Minister Motley and the rest of the team. And his worth was recognized in the 2022 Independence Day honors by the conferring of Barbados' highest honor, the Order of Freedom of Barbados. The overlap of politics and medical training to the benefit of Barbados is currently unfolding in health and wellness, and with Walcott also as senior minister coordinating social and environmental policy. This week, he unveiled the plans for the transformational expansion of the QEH. And this week, we saw the new linear accelerator to aid the fight against cancer being installed. We see the new geriatric hospital nearing completion. There have been more than 200 new hires at the QEH. Nurses are now being trained for the first time at Caveville UWI. Digitization is going on and modernization throughout the QEH. He's also very busy establishing Barbados as a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub, pushing for funding for antimicrobial resistance, and examining debt spots for health gain. This is a man at work. This is Jerome Walcott revolutionizing healthcare delivery and positioning Barbados for the future. The high regard in which he is held in health saw Walcott as chair of the executive board of the World Health Organization. You're selected, not elected. One of its highest bodies that deliberates on the WHO program, budget, and administration. And tonight, for his distinguished and dedicated service to the Barbados Labour Party and politics, Jerome Walcott is receiving the Grantley Adams Award, the party's highest honor. This is most fitting for the man. This is most fitting for the man who has been a member of the party for more than 40 years and who has served with distinction in every senior position in the party. I invite you to salute Jerome Walcott.
Good evening, comrades. The political leader and Prime Minister, the Honorable Mayor Motley, Your Honor, the Most Honorable Reginald Farley, President of the Senate of Barbados, Minister Jeremiah Norbert, St. Lucia, welcome. The conference chair, Marshall Cadell, Honorable Marshall Cadell, members of cabinet, members of parliament, members of the executive committee of the Barbados Labour Party, members of the National Council, awardees, comrades, all. Welcome to you all and good night. I must thank Comrade Mackie Holder. He almost moved me to tears. Almost. But I must say at the outset that I'm truly honored. Thank you. Truly honored No, Dale, it is not what you think. I am truly honored to be presented with the Grantley Adams Award, which is the highest award achievable in this great political organization. Madam Prime Minister, I want to thank you sincerely for selecting me to be this year's recipient of that very important award. Mere words cannot describe how elated and excited I feel to receive this award. I know some of you will not believe me, but that is the truth, the absolute truth. It gives me immense satisfaction and a sense of fulfillment that after roughly 40 years in a political party, I am recognized and presented with this award. But before I go further, comrades, the ones of you who walk with me, who canvass with me, who involved in activities within the Barbados Labour Party, be it fundraising, be it planning for conferences, I could not have received this award without you and without your assistance. And I invite you to celebrate my achievement this evening with me, be part of this. Marsha told me, I asked her how many minutes I have. She said I could speak as long as I wanted. As I reflected earlier today about this award and this evening, I said 40 years, almost 40, roughly 40 years of one's life. I believe half the people in here are less than 40. I believe so. But as I reflected, I said 40 years of the most, how should I put it? The greatest political institution in this island is something to be proud of. And indeed, perhaps, and PM you might know, perhaps even to be possibly the greatest political institution in this region, the Barbados Labour Party. And when I reflected on that, I said I have absolutely no regrets about the time, the years that I've spent within the Barbados Labour Party. And then I began to wonder, you know, as you get older, your long-term memory comes back to you. My short-term memory has gone. And I reflected back then as a schoolboy, about 15 years old, getting off the bus at the traffic lights. I know it was illegal, so we hopped off. The corner of Marhill Street and St. Michael's Row, and going to the public gallery. And at that time, school children actually gathered there and listened to debates. And I used to go quite often because I was fascinated by the debating skills of Tom Adams and other members of the Barbados Labour Party who were in opposition at that time. Fascinated. So you would realize that the sort of excitement I felt in 1976 when, as a teenager, unable to vote, was allowed to go to the last political meeting held by the Barbados Labour Party at Eagle Hall, the night before the election. Massive meeting. For me, a child, I've never seen such. But I remember that it rained and it rained and it rained. And Lammy Craig said that there were showers from a blessing from heaven. I don't know how he got in a position to know that there were showers of blessing, knowing his reputation, but perhaps there were blessings. But the euphoria that erupted around me the next day when we had won that election. And I believe that is when the BLP had bitten me. But I went off to Jamaica to study medicine. And while in Jamaica, I don't know if he's here tonight, I met a bedrock of the Barbados Labour Party in the form of Mr. George Griffith. We were staying in the same hall, Taylor Hall, and he introduced me to a young radical economist whose nickname was Tass. That is how I met Owen Arthur. And Tass and George were part of this Beijing parliament that met in Chancellor Hall every Tuesday night to discuss political matters in Barbados, political matters in the Caribbean, and global political matters. My first interaction with Tass was not a pleasant one. He felt that medical students were snobbish, didn't care anything about politics, and what the hell I was smelling around them for. Why did I think I needed to be there? But he relented, and they accepted me as an honorary member of this Beijing cabinet, as they called it. But then George did even better for me. I came home for the summer vacation, and George Griffith invited me to the shipping. I think that was the name of it, the shipping. For rum and coke. You're entitled to that as a young student. And I was then introduced at the shipping to Tom Adams. So George Griffith, what a coincidence. Through him, I met Owen Arthur as a young economist, and through him, I was meeting Prime Minister Tom Adams in the shipping. And I was in awe, sitting down, have a drink. He said, "Have a drink, young man." And then he involved me in conversation about student life in Jamaica and this and that. And then I got an invitation to a cocktail reception at Elara Court. Me. So I think that was it. I finished medical school, came back to Barbados, and of course, I joined the Barbados Labour Party. Had to. And the Barbados Labour Party then allowed me to not only serve my people, but to serve in my country at the highest level, and to represent my country at the highest level overseas. And that is something of which I am eternally grateful for this institution, this Barbados Labour Party. But politics is, of course, not a bed of roses. We all know the vicissitudes of political life. I and we have tasted the sweetness of political victory. And of course, we've had to swallow the bitterness of defeat. But one thing within the Barbados Labour Party, historically, we might be down, we are never out. We always get up. We manifest resilience. And that resilience is key. But there were other lessons I learned in the BLP at that time. I joined as a member of the Young Socialists. And we knew at that time what it was like to sweep the yard of the BLP, to rake leaves, to be involved in fundraising activities, barbecues and fish fries. We know what it was like to beg for paint and to try to paint the headquarters because we felt that we were embedded in that building. And there was a union between the Barbados Labour Party and us young people at that time. And it allowed us to rub shoulders with the stalwarts and for them to tell us that in this party there is no sense, or there was no sense of entitlement. You work your way up. That is how it was done. They also taught us some other things that I think are fundamental. The care and the need to care for people. If you are in politics and you don't care for people, then you should not be in politics. They instill in us the need to be humble, that humility was vital if you wanted to be a good politician. They instill in us that they need to do hard work. They need to canvass and things like this. And of course, they warned us that there was no place for hubris and this feeling of self-importance. These did not go well. And I took those lessons, and I believe that they're still relevant today, some 30, 40 years later, in terms of politics in the Barbados Labour Party. I went on, as Maki said, to get involved in party matters. I was co-opted to the National Council, and I believe I've been on National Council PM roughly 30 years now. The only position I have not held on the executive committee of the Barbados Labour Party is that of Treasurer Davidson, and I didn't want it. So I'm just saying this, and I'm going to finish shortly, because there's some things that you need to remember. Serving your community. Resilience. The need to not believe in entitlement. The need to be humble. The need to be caring. The need to be hardworking. These are the things that we need to continue and maintain this party from its members. Perhaps I've said enough. Comrades, through your commitment, your dedication, your hard work, your sacrifices, the BLP won 2 massive victories, 2018 and 2022. But to whom much is given, much is also expected. And I can say that since then, I was once told that, I used to say it quite often, in order to become the finest steel, you have to go through the hottest fires. And the Barbados Labour Party government, since winning elections in 2018, has gone through some of the hottest flames. The hottest flame of the economic quagmire in which the government, I can't even say the government, that presided, that misgoverned over the 10 years, the hottest flames of the COVID pandemic, the hottest flames of the volcanic ashfall, of Hurricane Elsa's, and more recently, Beryl. These are the sort of flames that we have endured, but we have continued to progress and we have survived and continue to move Barbados forward. This is what we have been able to do. The world is restless. There are wars. There's a President Trump. And even in the Southern Caribbean, there's saber rattling. And I may dare say, Prime Minister, even at home, there seems to be some, if we listen to the opposition leader, although I don't know whether it is a saber that he's rattling, or if it is indeed his hands that are shaking. Followed by his cohort of individuals who go marching or walking or demonstrating almost every Saturday. yet complaining that there's no freedom of expression. They utilize the social media. They continue with their lies and carry their naked half-truths. And sometimes their slogans and their placards have a distinct appearance that there may be some sort of bipolarity in their issues. But, comrades, we must continue to face them. We have to face them. We have to respond to them. We have to replace their falsehoods and lies with the truth and with facts. And we as a party must continue to move forward on our mission to transform Barbados in spite of them. Tonight, my simple message: we as a party must remain united, resilient, steadfast, committed, determined, humble, and caring. And in the end, the rewards shall be yours. Thank you and good night.